Hello, fellow snows, hoes, ugly blokes, and millennial jokes, and welcome to the Bastards of Gaming podcast, episode number 9. I'm your host with the most, Xizor, joined by my co-host, the maple syrup to my French toast, the Avenger to defeat Thanos, SynthR!
So the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer came out today, and you posted it.
Let's fucking talk about this goddamn travesty.
Man, like, I have never seen a worse trailer in my life, and I don't say that lightly. Like, this is, like, the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's so bad that I had to watch it 3 times. Just revel in how fucking horrible it was.
You might as well watch the movie if you're watching it 3 times.
I mean, I think it's like one of those that it might be so bad that I might have to watch it, though. Like, I don't know. It's like right on that line in a way.
Oh, man.
Like, I mean, you know, I might torrent it once it's online for free, like, so it doesn't fucking matter, because I'm sure it's real stupid. I mean, there's so much to break down in it, but, like, on the ground level here, like, the CGI on Sonic just looks fucking horrendously bad.
It's a bad character design. He looks horrible.
Yeah, his fucking human teeth in his mouth and stuff like that throws you off. And just everything he does is like really just like corny looking. It's like there's plenty of examples of how to do. I think even that Pikachu movie that's coming out, like as far as blending sort of like real world looking stuff. Isn't that one the same thing though? Like real world actors with like
it is the same, but it looks normal. Like when I saw the trailer, it's like, oh, this kind of looks kind of like fun. But
this just looks like terrible as far as that goes. Like he looks bad, and then they have a lot of like halfway decent actors in it, and I'm just like, do these people really know what the fuck they signed up for to do this?
Well, I don't know why they got Jim Carrey to play Robotnik. Like, first of all, Robotnik's like a fat lump, and like Jim Carrey's like a crazy character actor who does all these faces, and like, is that necessary for Dr. Robotnik? Like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a fun pick. I don't know who else you would pick. Like, who else would you pick? Like, I don't know. Danny DeVito or something? I don't know. Might be more fun. Maybe Danny Trejo. Who cares? Like, just
yeah, I mean, like, Jim Carrey's like the only thing that could save the movie, but he didn't really come across as that funny in the trailer either.
No, like all the jokes where it like builds up to something and the music like stops at the punchline, like they weren't funny. There was nothing entertaining about anything in that trailer at all. It just fell flat.
Yeah, like they thought it was funny when he was going up against that little like army general or whatever, and he just kept cutting him off. But I'm like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, that's so dumb. It's dumb. And I don't get what the story's going to be, because it's not like Sonic is like some superhero. He's just this like thing that just runs around and goes quickly. Like, how interesting is this going to be?
Yeah, and he says in that one line, he's like, I guess I'm here to save Earth or something. It's like, how are you going to fucking save Earth?
So he's not from Earth then? I don't know anything really about like this backstory for Sonic.
Well, I mean, I think we're both in agreement here that Sonic fucking sucks. It's always sucked. The fandom sucks, and anyone who likes it's a fucking weirdo or furry that just wants to fuck him, and that's about it.
They overuse that fucking ring sound way too many times in a goddamn trailer.
Yeah, well, that was the only cool part about the trailers, when they did the Paramount thing and it was the rings instead of the stars. That was like the only cool little touch.
I'll give you that. That was all right.
But yeah, the rest of it, oh my gosh. Like I said, so bad I had to watch it multiple times.
We should watch it together and just record it.
Yeah, we can Mystery Science Theater this show that comes out. Make a whole show out of that.
Yeah, that'll be it. So, whatever. I'd like to see how it does in the box office. It's going to beat out Endgame.
Yeah, sure it will. All right, so the topic of the week this week is going to be choice and morality in games. Then after that, we're going on to the what the fuck we're playing this week, which is going to be Spider-Man for PS4, Operencia, and Days Gone. After that, we'll move into the question and A section as always. But before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that we're available on all podcast platforms for free, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Music, and tons more. Just search for Bastards of Gaming. And if we're not on a platform of your choice, just let us know, and we'll try to make that happen for you.
Are you part of the Bastards community? No? Well, join the fucking conversation and engage with us by liking our Facebook page at facebook.com/bastardsofgaming. Each week, we share your thoughts and feedback on our show. Subscribe to us on YouTube and rewatch clips from past episodes. Simply search for Bastards of Gaming. Lastly, we would love if you could leave us some honest reviews on our Facebook ratings page or in the podcast platform you use to listen to us, such as iTunes. Those reviews will go a long way in helping us build this podcast and community. So, riffing off last week's topic, this week we're going to talk about choices and morality in games. And a lot of games these days absolutely have these options where you can be good or evil, and depending on what you do, your character's abilities could change, or party members can change their outlook on you, or your character itself can change. So actually one of the first games that I noticed this in, and I don't believe this is the first game it was ever in, because I did a little bit of research on it, was actually Fable. And Fable was the game that had if you did good things for being a hero, then you got certain abilities and your character looked more saintly. And if you did evil things, your character would be darker, more devilish looking. So I don't know if you played any games that were before Fable that kind of had this stuff.
I would be, I'm sure Fable is not the first game that did any of that kind of stuff. I'm sure there has to have been older PC RPGs from maybe going back as far as the 80s through the 90s that were probably doing a lot more stuff like that at the time.
Yeah, there's probably a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, because morality and alignment was always a big deal in those types of games, in the scenarios.
Yeah, but are you just talking about in Fable in particular as far as what its impact on the world and your character, or what?
Yeah, that was the first game where it felt like there was an impact for me. I've played Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale and stuff in the 90s, and certain things would change, but in Fable it was it was really the first time where I took note of that. And to me, that's kind of when it started, because that's where BioWare and Wizards of the Coast kind of started taking that direction with games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age and stuff, where they give your character choices on dialogue options to pick whether you're going to be aggressive, or you're going to be nice about a certain situation or whatnot, and then party members would change their opinion of you based on the choices you made in the game.
Yeah, all I remember from Fable is all the empty promises that Peter Molyneux offered as far as things he wanted to do, as far as you could carve your name in a tree and then you would come back years later and it'd be there, or whatever kind of bullshit he used to say. But I never played the first Fable at the time. I've actually never gone back and played it either. It was something about when it first came out on the original Xbox. I just wasn't really looking for that kind of game at the time. I played I think I rented it and played maybe an hour or two of it. And I was like, this is not for me. I think if I'd have just played at a different time, maybe I would have liked it. All right, so my only real experience is with Fable 2 on the 360. That was the first Fable game I played. And I kind of remember some of the stuff in that game, but not really. I don't really remember all the morality choices I made or how much of an impact it had ultimately. That I don't know. The Fable franchise has always been fairly forgettable to me. It's never jived with me. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
I played them all and they were fine. It wasn't groundbreaking or anything at the time. But in terms of morality and choices and stuff like that, the more I thought about it, because I was thinking more of Wizards of the Coast type games like BioWare and stuff. And we could even go back to Knights of the Old Republic. I believe those games had morality in it, right? Because you could either be a Jedi or Sith. Or am I wrong?
Well, that's the first game to me that really, not only because it was Star Wars and it was the first game that I recall. I didn't play a lot of early Star Wars games. So I don't know. This might have been a thing that was in the older games, but this is the first game I remember where you could choose. You could go down the path of the light side or the path of the dark side. Mm-hmm. All the things you would do in the game would sort of reflect that, and it was so fun for me at the time because I'd always wanted to play a game, because most of the times they make you play as the hero or the Jedi or something like that. This is the first time you could make the choice, and I always thought it'd be really cool to play a character that sort of eventually just slowly turned to the dark side and became a Sith by the end or whatever. So that really, I was able to really live out my fantasies as far as that goes at Knights of the Old Republic. So that's one of the first games I remember really, being able to make specific choices and things that would ultimately, sort of have an impact on how the story and how my character unfolds. And I don't remember the ending exactly now, but I remember the ending of that game, especially if you turn to the dark side, being really fucking satisfying.
What happened again? I played both of them. I don't remember anything.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, dude, it's that's the problem with doing this stuff. Sometimes these podcasts, we're talking about games we played 20 years ago plus. It's like, dude, I've played 80,000 games since then. I barely remember that fucking game, honestly. I just remember loving it at the time, and it blew me away. And I love the fact that at the beginning, I kind of made it seem like I was maybe going to go to the light side, and I started just like gradually going to the darkness all the way through that game. And then when you kind of turn fully toward the end, I seem to remember, I could be wrong, I seem to remember like it's being a huge shock to the other characters in your party that you would go to the dark side. And yeah, I don't know. I remember at the time being super satisfied with it.
So in terms of how you play, are you usually good or bad? Like, what do you do?
Well, see, that's, it all depends because, and this is another thing I was wanting to sort of talk about in this topic, is the problem that I have with choices and morality in games a lot of times is I usually make the decision based on whatever's going to give me an easier path through the game. Like a lot of times, I mean, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen if you pick a certain, dialogue option, or, do this in a mission versus that, or kill these people instead of these people. But if I get the sense that I know what's going to happen, I'm just going to do whatever's going to get me the best reward or the best, just make the game easier for me. Like maybe if I do this, I get this skill, or if I do this, I get this weapon. So I don't always really make choices based on morality. And like I said, I don't typically role play games. But if I'm not really trying to sort of pick one way or the other, I do tend to lean just kind of middle of the road most times. Or I'll play evil just for fun because, it's just more fun to be bad in games a lot of times. But, I don't know. There's plenty of examples where it just feels right. Like if it's just the character feels like they would be good or not do evil things, then maybe I'll kind of play in that direction. But it really just depends on the game, honestly. So I used to play bad a lot more than I do now. I will say that as I've sort of gotten older and played a bunch of different games and stuff, I feel like I have sort of come back to the light side of the force, as it will. But yeah, it really just depends on the game. If we're talking about Red Dead Redemption 2, even though we'll talk about the morality system in that either now or later, I was going to bring that up because I didn't like it. The morality system in that game was I don't know, it's just the way I play a Rockstar game makes it to where I'm always going to be more evil. Like I beat that game with the bad karma ending, which everyone else didn't seem to get, just because like that's a game, it's a sandbox game, so it's a Rockstar game where I want to fuck off and kill people and like do weird things. And my code in that game was like talk shit, get shot. So some motherfucker rides by me on a horse and he wants to comment on some shit about my attire or something like that, he's getting shot. I mean, that's just going to happen. And plus you want to play around with like the new mechanics in the Rockstar game when you get one. So you're going to like go into town and go crazy and blow up the saloon and see what happens. And so inevitably I'm always going to stray toward, the bad side of the morality meter in those kind of games. So I don't know. What did you think about Red Dead? Or actually, how do you play? I guess we'd start out with.
So for me, I mentioned it last week. I usually play a good person, but I have the like vigilante anti-hero edge to me where like I will shoot people, I will kill people, I will get rid of people if they're a nuisance, and it would like make my life easier. But I don't like rape and pillage, as it were. You know what I mean? Like I'll just do good things. So I'll be like bad cop.
Yeah. I feel like I'm probably about like that too. Because like we talked about last week too, I like the anti-hero stuff. I like I like characters that are flawed and make mistakes and have to do some bad shit along with some of the good stuff. So in games, sometimes if I can kill somebody, even though it's probably the wrong thing to do, but I know I can get away with it and it's going to make my life easier in the game, I'll do it, even though it's kind of wrong. I like making sometimes I just like making decisions that are like even outside of the character, just because I think the circumstances might be a little different because of what I did. So I don't know. Sometimes I'll just do really random things just to sort of satisfy that dark side of me, the little devil on my shoulder, as it were.
So do you do that because you can get away with that and it's kind of like an outlet because you wouldn't be that way in real life, or is it something else?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't really think about it too much, other than just like I'm just like a jokey asshole kind of guy in general. And if I know there's no consequences, which there's no real consequences to doing anything bad in a video game, I mean, you might get lower karma, or you might get the bad ending, or the cops might come in on you for killing somebody. But ultimately, it's not something you have to live with, So it's just kind of fun in a video game to sort of just do bad things, because you wouldn't really do those things in real life. But you would think about it. You just never know if you were thinking about something like have you ever thought about, though, like going back to Red Dead, if you were a cowboy in those times, would you really be that good of a person? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like the world would just make you where you weren't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's tough. It would have been tough back then. I feel like I would have tried to have been a good person, but it's like you said, also, like the world would screw you over because there's just people trying to murder and do stuff to you all the time.
Yeah, it's just like, like in today's society, like someone comes up to you on the street, like you're most likely not going to pull a gun on them, even if you're even if you're in a confrontation with them. But if you're living in a time back then, you have to think like, this person probably has a gun on him. I have a gun on me, so like I might as well shoot him before he shoots me or something. Like, you're just going to think about things totally different. So sometimes I kind of put myself in that headspace. Like I said, when I played Red Dead, I mean, even though I was kind of just being like super evil, I think I just would have been a little bit more of an asshole than Arthur was at times. It's kind of like you said last week when you were talking about your sort of gripes with how he acted at certain parts in the story. Mm-hmm. And I agree, where he just puts up with a lot of shit. Like, I wouldn't have either. And so, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes when that's why I was kind of playing, even though it's Red Dead Redemption, and sort of Arthur is supposed to redeem himself, and he does over the course of the game. And that's what leads into the first game and all that. There's certain parts where I just feel like Arthur wouldn't be that good, like in certain things, like when it really mattered to the gang or certain other things. Like, I don't think he would just completely fuck people over. But I also think, if he was just out in the wilderness and some dude he doesn't know like walks up to him, it's like I said, talk shit, get shot. Like, you just fucking kill him. Like, what does it matter? Like, don't fuck with me. You know what I mean?
I like that. Talk shit, get shot. That's the first time I heard you say that. You didn't say that to me like any other time. It's a funny policy to live by. So I was actually reading some articles on this stuff, and one article said that studies have shown that people who are emotionally disengaged from the game are more inclined to tread morally questionable paths, so they're more likely to become evil. While as on the flip side, people who choose good options are more likely to enjoy the games because they're more emotionally invested. We often justify violent or evil acts in video games by telling ourselves it's just a game, changing our role from participant to bystander, yet some still choose to play this way.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm fucked up then.
It doesn't necessarily say that. It says like I don't know. I don't really believe that's fully true. That's kind of like black and white there. Like, I don't necessarily enjoy games more because I'm being a good person.
No, I mean, I definitely don't. And like I said, most of the entertainment that I seek out is not centered around good people doing good things a lot of the time.
Well, every video game's about killing, basically.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of throwing back to last week's episode. The one thing I meant to say when we were talking about that, and we were talking about all these people, like especially that EMT worker that wanted to be able to save people in a Resident Evil game. It's like, bitch, don't you know what fucking video games are? Like, you come here to fucking kill people, not save people. It's not what this medium's for. So I don't know. It's just like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people complain about that in video games, that like a lot of them just boil down to killing things. And I get it. But like at the same time, still infinitely fun. And like, I don't know, you're going to have conflict. And I'm not saying you can't make games other ways and stuff like that. But there's something to be said that's kind of like a core thing that's just fun no matter what. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really buy into this whole thing that, like, I mean, not that I have to buy into it or believe it, but that the way I play games, basically like what you were just describing, where I'm a little bit more flippant about everything, and I'm not really emotionally invested in it. I don't know. I struggle with that sometimes. Sometimes I think I'm a emotionally fucking broken person, and I just don't get emotionally engaged in a lot of things in general, but especially like video games on the level of like, I just feel like there's too many people out there, and clearly I'm the one that's broken here. So I'm not like criticizing this, but there's a lot of people that get like overly emotionally invested in a lot of stuff, like characters and the things they do and certain stuff like that. I always just like roll with it. I mean, sure, I have complaints and stuff, but I don't know. I'm just not that emotionally invested in something on that level. Like, I don't know. I'm like I said, at the end of the day, I still just view games as like something I'm having fun with and that I can interact with. I don't know.
Okay, so here's a question for you. I'll pose the question after I explain something here. So when I play something like Mass Effect or Dragon Age, if I like a character in the game, I will usually do stuff that doesn't piss them off. Or sometimes I'll do things that like I wouldn't have normally done, but I would do it just to please them because I want them to like my character. I want to see more of their story or hear more about them. So I do kind of like form these like fake friendships as they were to please these characters or to piss off a character that I don't even like. Like I almost treat it like they're actual relationships.
Yeah, this is another sort of avenue of this topic as far as choices, morality, and stuff. Where, yeah, Mass Effect is a good example where, I'm basically just going through the motions to whatever I know is going to lead me to the best ending to the story, or make all the party members like me, so I can unlock all the achievements. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're kind of doing stuff sometimes for a secondary alternative, versus if you were to strip all that out and you didn't know what any of it was going to bring you and you just played through it, it might be totally different. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So we actually threw this question out to our viewers out there, and we had a couple responses here, so I'll read a few of them. So we had a friend of mine, Adela. She mentioned the Mass Effect series, the Fable series, Divinity Original Sin, which I've also played. For me, in that game, I was very much a crowd pleaser. I was, let's make everybody happy, let's do all the side quests, let's give everybody everything they're asking me for so I can get maximum XP and gear from them. I didn't really piss anybody off. I didn't like go around murdering the town. And that's something else too. When you think about like Fallout or Skyrim, like the sandbox Bethesda games, like where you can literally go into a town and just murder everybody. Like, is that something that you like? I've done it. I've saved and then I went in and just murdered people, but I didn't play beyond that. I would just reset because I didn't want a town to be murdered by me.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that too. Like you said, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, because you know you can do it, you want to do it at least once and see what happens.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't normally. I feel like there's some game where I did that, where like some town or some group pissed me off, and I went in there and killed all of them, and I just left it that way. But I can't remember for the life of me what it was. There's
been games in the past where if you did do that, it would screw the game up. Like you wouldn't be able to complete certain things. I don't know if it might have been Morrowind or some other games, but I don't even know why they would let you do that to an important character.
Well, like in Skyrim and Fallout, it's like, you kill the shopkeepers, like, they got to have someone to replace them, you know what I mean? So someone's got to come back, or they have someone like a random NPC that replaces them, or they just come back to life later on. I don't know. But yeah, there's always sort of contingency plans for that kind of thing.
Yeah, our good friend Magnum mentioned Resident Evil 1, and he was just saying how there was different endings based on the choices that you made in the game. And I vaguely remember that stuff because I know Capcom loved their like multiple endings because they had like the Onimusha games and a couple other series that would have different endings based on like, did you go down this path? Did you save this person? Did you whatever? But I never found... in general, like most of these games, it doesn't matter like what you did in the game. The ending didn't really change that much half the time.
Yeah. So do you like kind of knowing what you do is going to change certain aspects of the game or the ending, or do you like just not knowing, or do you care about that kind of stuff?
I just go along as if this is my life now. Like I'm making these choices. I'm going to live with them. We'll see where it goes. I don't check and see like what the ending's going to be like or the trophies or whatever. I just like to play the game the way I want to play it. And it's unfortunate because if I want to go back to get trophies and it's like a 40, 50 hour game, I won't replay it to do like the best ending sort of thing. So I know you were saying that there's things that you'll do to get certain things like the trophies or the certain ending that you want or whatever. So do you look up like what to do to get there beforehand?
No, it's just like certain games will sort of telegraph that stuff. Like they'll tell you point blank, just like, if you do this where you kill this person, this will happen in the end game, or this person won't be here at this other mission or whatever. And some games like I always liked The Witcher 3 because it didn't really tell you that anything you were doing was kind of affect certain things in the ending. It wasn't huge changes, but I always liked kind of the way they did that, where they kind of hid all that stuff from you, where you didn't really know. Because there was one person that I killed early. I can't remember her name. She's like witch woman or like a wizard woman that you come across.
Was she the one in like blue and her boobs are always hanging out?
Yeah. Well. Anyways, like I felt like when I got to the end of her quest, I felt like I should kill her. And so the first time I played through it, I did. But like, if you don't, so she can actually come back later on in the story at the end and help you out with all the other characters and stuff like that. So the first time, that was the only mistake, or not really mistake. Like I said, in the moment, and I wish I should have looked up that quest so I could know, because that would have been a perfect example of, as far as me telling you how I play games. But there was something about it the first time I played it. She came across the wrong way to me, where she was like, I'm not letting you get past here, or I can't let you take this, or whatever. And you could let her have whatever the thing was or whatever. I can't remember now. But yeah, but I just remember feeling like a distinct feeling like, no, I should probably kill her. And like I said, it's not that was right or wrong. It was just like I didn't know there was going to be this whole other thing later if I kept her alive, because I didn't really fuck over any of the other characters in that game like that. But it was just something about that particular mission with her. And so that's what I'm saying, is like certain games sort of telegraph it, and some games don't really tell you. So it's kind of hard to say. Like, I mean, Mass Effect 2 is a pretty good example of this, even though it kind of does not work to your favor. Like, that game doesn't tell you what you need to do, from my recollection. Maybe you can tell me better because you played it more recently than me, what you need to do to sort of make your ship survive and all your crew members survive, once you get to the end. So the first time I played through it, I actually lost some people, and I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks, because, I mean, even though I did multiple playthroughs of those games, I would have my whatever the fuck happens first time, and then my Renegade and Paragon. But yeah, it's one of those things where like you wouldn't know unless you really sort of looked it up beforehand.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The game does not tell you anything, because there's a couple factors. You have to get certain things for your ships. You have to get like the best guns on the ship. You have to get the shield. You have to get the armor, and you get those by either finding them on a planet or doing some side missions. So okay, those are fine. And then the next thing is, when you go and start the suicide mission, you have to pick people who are specialized in specific jobs, because they have a higher success rate. And then you also have to have their loyalty maxed out for every single party member, which it takes a bit of time because you're just doing their like side stories or whatever. But those factors play in whether or not they survive. So there's actually options. Like, you only get like one or two people per choice that you make for the end game suicide mission will result in those people staying alive. And if you pick one of the wrong crew members for that, they will die. So yeah. Like the first thing's like, okay, this person has to like go through the vents, and you have to either pick like Miranda or Legion. If you pick Garrus, then Garrus dies. So it's not based on like anything that you've been told. And it's not based on anything other than you have to pick the right character, and their loyalty has to be at max, which is kind of dumb. And like you're saying, like you wouldn't have known if you didn't look it up or trial and error.
Yeah, which I think is like it kind of sucks if you're the type of person that wants to keep everybody alive, which I did, because I mean, you have these cool characters you spend all this time with, and you presume that they're going to carry over to the next game. Well, if you let them die here and they died because of things that were out of your control, or things that you didn't know about, it's a little bit stupid in a way.
Yeah, when I played it a couple months ago, I looked up everything to make sure I did like the perfect run, and like I did, and it didn't really change anything. You know what I mean? Like, no, the ending was the same, whatever.
Yeah, but while we're talking about Mass Effect, like, what do you think about the sort of morality system throughout that series?
I'll say that being Renegade had some really funny dialogue things. In particular, I loved when you would call the council and you could just hang up on them. Like, I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah,
they'll just
and
be
the
like,
most famous one is when he punches that reporter, that female reporter.
Oh yeah, yeah. I always punched her in the face because she was just being like a gossip queen. But I loved when the council would call and then like question your ethics and what you're doing, and then you'd be like, I don't have time for this, and you just hang up on them.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But now the other thing I couldn't quite remember because I hadn't played it, so you can tell me. I know you can make whatever choices you want, but I can't remember if that game or those games benefit if you play absolute one side or the other versus like playing a little bit in the middle or mixed match of all of them.
No, the only thing that seemed to change is like your character would look a little bit different in the face. Like if you were more evil, you would have like more like cracks in your face, and if you're like a good person, your eyes would change a different color. And the other thing that changed was your dialogue options. So sometimes if you were renegade, you could bully someone or force someone to give you something instead of paying for it. Whereas if you're like a paragon, you could stop something before it escalates too far, or not have to fight at all.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember if I did straight paragon and straight renegade runs through these games because it was like advantageous to just see all one way or all the other way. Mm. And I don't know if I was doing that because it was like beneficial to just go all in on one side and see everything, or if I was just, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying though? Like I couldn't remember why exactly I did that. I remember if there was a reason specifically why I played that way.
Yeah, even if you did one or the other, it didn't really affect anything too much. It was just more of like conversation, like dice rolls. Like, can you convince this person, or can you intimidate this person? Do you have enough renegade points to pick that dialogue option? That was about it.
Yeah. So what other games do you think like do sort of choices and morality like really well, or that feel satisfying?
So I don't know about satisfying. I do have a bunch of things that we could talk about still. So one thing I'll jump into is there's one game. I don't remember how old I was. I think I was maybe like 14 or 15 at the time when it came out. But there's one game in particular that I think it was a pretty disturbing game, and it forced you to kill people. But at some point, it was like the right thing to do. You were behind the character. You're like, I was forced to do this. And the game I'm talking about is the first Manhunt. And Manhunt's made by Rockstar. So Rockstar is known for these like gritty adult games, obviously like GTA, Red Dead, and all these other ones that they've made. And in Manhunt, basically what happens is your main character was kidnapped and he's thrown into basically like a game show. It's like a snuff game show where they're recording you murdering all these criminals and stuff. They're trying to kill you. So it's basically like The Running Man from the 80s, that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So basically you're thrown into this pit or like city, and all these criminals are out to kill you, but you're killing them. And the game is super visceral because you're literally picking up like broken glass and stabbing people in the neck and killing them, or taking a plastic bag and suffocating them, or just finding all these other like really gruesome ways of murdering these people. And like that stuff was disturbing in a way. Like it was on the PS2 and it doesn't look like amazing or anything. It was disturbing in its own way. But what was disturbing to me was you were doing this to people that were criminals. And at some point I was okay with it because I was like, I need to survive. It's kill or be killed. You know what I mean? So I was just like, yeah, if I was in this situation, I probably would just turn into this feral animal and just murder whoever I had to survive this stupid thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, Manhunt is like a hole in my Rockstar gaming history. I never actually played those games, even though I played, I think, a majority of Rockstar's games, and I love them. They're one of my favorite developers. But yeah, I never played Manhunt back in the day, so I feel like I should have.
You should go back and play it. I think it's you might be able to get it on the PS4, and it's upscaled a bit. I'm not too sure. You'd have to check that, but I think it's a great game. Like, it's a great game. I think everyone should play it that can stomach it.
Do you think it would hold up though? Because you know how I am with some retro games. I'm just like, old game is old.
I think the controls would kind of be a bit shitty. The premise and the atmosphere, like the game is full of atmosphere, and they did a fantastic job with the sound design. Like, fantastic. Like, there's so many dialogue things that happen. Like, you'll just be like sneaking around and you hear them around the corner. You hear a bunch of criminals talking, and sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's like other stuff, but you almost don't hear the same dialogue too often. It's almost like in GTA, where like you're just walking around the city and people are just like, "Yep, I've been drinking again," or whatever, and you just hear like random shit from people. And they did that in that game too, where they had all these dialogue options that were just like coming up as you walked around corners or did stuff, so you'd be able to hear people, and you'd hear footsteps, and you'd hear like bottles being kicked, and it's just really neat what they did with the sound design for that, and I was really impressed with that when I first played it. The mechanics are probably shit now, like I don't know how many years later, it'd be like 20 years later basically, but I think everything else is worth like trying, or at least like firing it up and trying it out just to see what it's like. I've never played another game that's like that, and I'm sure there probably are some, but I've never played a game that's as like visceral and atmospheric in such like a gruesome and disturbing manner.
So, interesting game I was going to bring up as far as sort of morality and stuff. And I don't remember it having a lot of choices per se, but and I don't know if you've ever played it, but you ever played Spec Ops: The Line?
Yeah, I played that.
Yeah, so I thought that game was pretty interesting because, you sort of go in, it's like this it's your typical sort of third-person military shooter type game, and you go into this conflict in the Middle East. And I haven't played in a while, so I'm not like I can't really remember all the details of it. But I remember, it slowly turns out that there's some bad things going on with American soldiers, and you end up like killing some American soldiers and stuff over there. And I just remember at the time, I think it was very striking sort of storytelling in that game where it sort of made you really think about some of the cost of war and what it really meant to be on the front lines like that, fighting a conflict like that, and having to make questionable decisions about turning on your own people and stuff like that. I thought it was really well done. I don't know if that stood out to you, but a lot of people sort of quote that as like a revolutionary story in a lot of ways, even though the game was pretty generic, as far as the gameplay and everything like that, and it sort of suffers from an unfortunately boring name. But it's a really cool game just as far as the story and the stuff that happens in it. It really makes you think about sort of the morality of like war and conflict and blind allegiance to a country or whoever. So I don't know. What did you have any thoughts about that game?
I didn't beat it. I didn't beat it because, like you said, it was kind of generic. So I didn't see the story all the way through, unfortunately. So I'll just have to take your word on the twists and turns.
Yeah, it has some really cool twists and turns in it for sure. And like I said, it plays on the sort of morality of different situations of war and what it would mean to sort of be a American soldier, like turning on your people and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
So let's jump back to some Rockstar games, because Rockstar games, like I just mentioned with Manhunt, they're always like you're a criminal or you're a murderer or you're something, but they make you like the main characters. So like in GTA, especially the last one, we had 3 different characters who had different lifestyles. You liked them as criminals. They were normal people. They were relatable.
I would say some of them, not all of them. I feel like I didn't really like, at least the character that I'm playing as, I didn't really like a lot of the Rockstar protagonists until probably GTA 5. Like Nico Bellic was pretty boring for the most part.
Sure.
Some of the other characters surrounding him were more interesting. I really didn't play a whole lot of San Andreas or Vice City, and I don't remember any of those. Like the protagonist from Grand Theft Auto 3, I don't remember him being anything important at all. So I don't know. Just for me, I didn't really start caring until probably, well, I guess it would have been John Marston in Red Dead Redemption 1, and then sort of Grand Theft Auto 5. All 3 of those characters I really liked. Red Dead 2 has a lot of great characters as well.
But
go ahead.
But you know what I mean? Like it's such a weird thing. Like they're making you do these horrible things or live this lifestyle that you wouldn't normally live, but you're also like seeing how they live at home or their relationships or how they treat other people. Like you get to see more than them just being like a hired gun. Yeah.
Well, it kind of gets back to what I was saying earlier about how I feel like they wanted me to play Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2 versus how Rockstar game plays and all the shit they ask you to do. I feel like they're just kind of at odds with each other. I thought Grand Theft Auto 5 did it pretty well, but But at the end of the day, even though you got Michael who's trying to get out, what's oh my god, what's his name? Crazy dude. Why can't I think of his name? Yeah, Trevor. And then oh god, what's the other guy's name? Franklin. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so but what's cool about that game is when I would switch to the different characters, I actually did try to sort of play how I thought that character would be. Like when I was playing as Trevor, I would just be balls to the wall all the time. Like I didn't give a fuck because that's how he would be. You know what I mean? Like just causing chaos and stuff like that. And then when I was playing Michael, I would do the dirty shit I need to do. I wouldn't try to be an insane person all the time. And then Franklin seemed like by and large like the most sort of normal one. So I would always try to play a little bit more on the calmer side with him. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's a Rockstar game, and you're going to have to break into a place and do some crimes and kill a bunch of people. So, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where it's the sort of gameplay and what they ask you to do in a Rockstar game is always going to conflict with, sort of the morality of what you would perceive the characters to have at certain points. And it's never too bad because, you're always kind of playing as a criminal and an asshole. So, it's not too far off. But, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on the Rockstar stuff. Did you play that all with the characters? Did you like role play them like that at all? I don't know.
I sort of did. I sort like not to the extreme. I just did what I needed to do. I related more to Michael than anybody else because he was just like a family guy and he was just doing what he had to do to make money, even though it was questionable. And I liked his character. Trevor was hilarious. I liked him too. I didn't really like Franklin because he was like pretty generic. And he felt very San Andreas, like he was coming from the hood, and we're reliving that again, and we've already seen that basically.
Yeah. I wasn't a huge Franklin fan, but he was all right.
Yeah, he was okay, and he had what was it, Chomp? I forget what the dog's name, or Chop. Is it Chop?
Chop, yeah,
Chop. Yeah, and you can get like an app on your phone for Chop and give him skills or whatever.
So stupid.
Yeah, it was dumb.
Little digipet.
Yeah. So. Something else I was thinking about in terms of multiplayer, and it's kind of like choices of morality, more so in behavior, people being toxic with the way they treat other people online, or the stuff that they do to each other, like teabagging, or just being a general asshole to people because they can get away with it since they're anonymous.
Yeah, I'm the type of person that I don't really get affected by that stuff. And quite frankly, I'm getting a little bit tired of sort of the pushback against like toxic behavior online because I feel like that's just kind of the internet. It happens all over the internet. It doesn't matter if it's in a video game or on a message board or in the YouTube comments or whatever. I'm tired of people feeling like they're getting bullied and all this stuff. I'm like, this is the fucking wild. Anytime you get in a voice chat with a random people online, it's the fucking Wild West. And people are going to say racist stuff because they're trying to be little edgy boys, or they're going to say offensive stuff. And it's like, I don't understand why people are taking offense to it. And there's all these pushes to ban all these people. I mean, look, I guess I get it, but I really just, me personally, you know how I am. Like, I just don't like that shit. And I don't get offended by anything. So I think there's just like so much, like the way Blizzard's been doing a lot of their stuff with like just banning all these people for weird things. Sometimes things are even done outside of a game. I just, people are getting a little bit too crazy with sort of like trying to cut down on the toxicity and stuff in games. It's just like people get in there and talk shit, and you're going to have people from all over the world that don't necessarily abide by America's standard of fucking what's right and wrong or whatever. And it's just, I'm just getting tired of people like getting so worried about what everyone else is doing online. And it's just like, guess what? You can shut everyone off in a game now. You can mute everyone, or you can be in a party with your friends. Like, you don't have to hear anything you don't want to, really. Or even like text chat. I'm pretty sure you can shut that off in a lot of games. I just don't know why people go out of their way to like get people banned from games and like just complain about stuff. It's like, just move on with your day, man. I don't get it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's because we grew up with it or I just didn't care to begin with. Like, I have thick skin. It doesn't really matter to me because, like you said, like you can just go somewhere else. It's just like real life. Like, if you don't want to be in a building where there's people doing something you don't like, you can just walk out of that building, or a club or a restaurant, or like, I don't know. Like, why would you go to a restaurant that serves food that you don't like? So I don't like, it doesn't bother me. It's just whatever. If they want to put measures in because people can't handle it themselves, they can't be an adult, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
But why is it that everyone can handle it for the last, I don't know, what, like 25, 30 years we've had the internet, and now all of a sudden it's a problem? Like, everyone's been doing this stuff since the beginning of time. Like, I don't get it.
Because I think it's just the age, the generation. Like, we grew up with the internet, and then there's a lot of people that had the internet day one. Like, we didn't have it at some point. So
they should have a thicker skin than us.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know, because they seem to be... True. Well, they seem to have like no self-confidence because they've been online all the time and they've isolated themselves, and they're all only caring about like their profile, their online profile, and how they're perceived. So they're very fragile. That's what it seems like. It's like it's probably like some psychological thing where they weren't tempered enough for this type of abuse, as they would call it. I don't call it abuse. I just call it people being dicks. But like in real life, like, I go outside and people cut me off all the time, or drive up my ass, or like cut in line when I'm at the grocery store, or don't say thank you when I hold the door open. Like, people are just assholes, and the majority of people in the world just don't give a shit. So why would the internet be any different when they're even more anonymous than they are when they're standing right in front of you?
Yeah, I don't get it. There's a whole topic we could go into there that I really don't want to go into. Were there any other examples? Because I was just going to talk about some other stuff as far as, I'm a huge fan of games that sort of give you the whole black and white, sort of thing to do in every choice. Like, I mean, Mass Effect's fine, but I think sort of the Paragon Renegade system is a little cheesy, and stuff like Infamous where you play completely good or completely bad. That's kind of how you're meant to play, like all one way or the other.
Right.
Like, you want all the good powers, all the bad powers. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's fine. I mean, I understand multiple reasons why you would do that. Give somebody a reason to play through it a second time. Makes people keep games longer. Makes them invest more time into your game. And then, so I don't know. What do you think about? What do you think is the ideal sort of like choice system or morality system in the game? Like, what game does it like the best to you?
It's really hard to say, and it's really hard to say how it could be improved upon, even if I can think of an example, because I can't imagine like the flow chart or whatever they have to draw and map out for all the options. Because it's like what we were talking about last week, where, okay, if you want to be straight or gay, there's these options. Now you're going to add in like transgender options. You're going to add in all these other options for different like races and stuff. Now you're going down this route where there's like a billion different ways this can go. And I can just imagine the nightmare that is to like develop or map out. That's just a whole other thing. But in terms of who does it the best, I don't know. Like, to me, it's just kind of there. If it wasn't there, would it change much? I don't think so. Because I also said last week, I play games to escape and to experience things I wouldn't normally experience. So if the developers want to create a character and the character is going to do this from the beginning straight up to the ending, well, I'm along for the ride. I don't need to help them make morality choices. Like, just take me along for the ride. It's like watching a TV show. So games like Mass Effect, like, it's there, but it didn't really add anything. And once you beat the trilogy and you see the ending, you're like, well, did my choices even do anything?
Well, that's always the problem, because I was going to say some of the games that I thought had some of the best sort of like choices where I really had to stop and think, and sometimes they even have a countdown where you can't really sit there and ponder it forever. But a lot of the Telltale games, in particular, season 1 of The Walking Dead, a lot of the choices you made in that were pretty insane, like nail biters, and they were really, really difficult choices to make. And then I also liked, even though it wasn't the best game they made, I still liked it because I like Game of Thrones. But the Telltale Game of Thrones one, like a lot of the choices you made in that, because the Game of Thrones universe is so cutthroat anyway. And that was one that had a lot of where I was like, oh, like I don't know what to pick. Like usually I can make a choice pretty quickly. Like I kind of know what I'm going to do already, or I can really sort of decide in the moment pretty quickly. But some of the Telltale games like really stumped me for a minute there. So that's one that I think is a good example. But the problem with it is that it's kind of, even though you make all these really drastic choices, like the story always funnels back to a certain point. So it's not like your choices ultimately matter. I mean, some of them do, but as far as like in between each episode, like there's going to be certain story beats that are going to have to hit in each episode, and then the ending, you know. So it's not like you're ultimately going to drastically change the outcome of a lot of things. It's just little sort of choices along the way that feel important, and feel good, and are fun to make. So that's one of the only examples I have of sort of a lot of the Telltale stuff.
The only Telltale game I played was the Batman one, and that I don't really remember that having like crazy choices.
Yeah, I mean, I played episode 1 of Batman, and I was just like, I was kind of done with Telltale games at that point, so I just kind of bounced off that one. I think that's actually the last one I played, but I played a majority of the ones they put out. I always wanted to go back and play the Borderlands one, but the best one they ever made, in my opinion, was the first season of The Walking Dead. Like, that was like tremendously good.
That was the game that probably put them on the map, right?
Well, yeah, it was, and to me, nothing else they ever did quite lived up to that. But I don't know if that was just a right place, right time, because I don't know. It's just they just kept remaking that formula and that shitty game engine in different ways, and eventually you just got tired of it because they would come out with an episode and it'd be fucking half broken or some other shit, and the engine was terrible. It looked bad. But yeah, that first season of Walking Dead though, superb. All right, now on to the what the fuck we're playing this week, which we're going to be talking about Spider-Man PS4, Operencia, and Days Gone. Now, let's start off with Days Gone. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but I did an unboxing of the collector's edition on our Facebook group, so you can go watch that if you want to see the collector's edition. So I picked this up this past week for the PS4. It's a PS4 Sony exclusive first-party game. It's sort of like Sons of Anarchy in a zombie world, I guess. It's a zombie game, post-apocalyptic, because every game this year is a post-apocalyptic game. But I haven't really played tons of it yet, but I've played enough to know that I'm definitely digging it so far. Just to give you a sense of what it feels like to me at this point in the game, it's sort of a little bit like The Last of Us meets State of Decay, sort of pulling a lot of things from both of those games. Kind of feels like The Last of Us as far as like, it's a third person sort of cover based shooter. You're kind of sneaking around. There's a lot of stealth elements to it. You're going to be using melee weapons, guns, and stuff like that. It's kind of also like Left 4 Dead in that you're sort of picking up scraps and random things around the environment, crafting stuff on the fly, health items and Molotovs, and repairing your melee weapons when they get damaged and stuff like that. So it feels very much like that, how you can sort of do these sort of guerrilla tactics on the enemies, sort of slink around and take one guy out over here and distract a bunch of guys and flank around and sort of just keep coming at people from the shadows. Because so far it doesn't seem like the actual gunplay is super strong. Now they are sort of going for another thing that The Last of Us did, which a lot of people don't like this, but I kind of like it to a certain degree, although I can see why some people don't. Which is like, Joel in The Last of Us, how the sort of aiming was sort of sway a little bit. Like he wasn't like a marksman, he was just an average dude. And of course he wouldn't be just running up in a room, busting all these headshots off. So they kind of have that in this game where, you sort of have to give your reticle a second to sort of settle on somebody. You need to make sure you're taking a clean shot, especially if you're using like single shot weapons and stuff like that. But the human AI seems not great. It's fine so far. I've definitely seen some videos online, people showing off the human AI being really dumb. So that combined with some like not so great gunplay kind of make it seem like I'm probably going to lean more into sort of the melee side of things. But it's kind of almost has a Tomb Raider vibe. Sort of you have these 3 different sort of skill trees that you can spec into. You have like melee stuff, survivability, and your sort of guns and stuff like that. And as far as the State of Decay stuff I was talking about, it's more about like you got a motorcycle and you got to worry about fuel and resources, and you have these little different camps that are scattered around the map, and you're going to sort of be going in and out of those, doing different things for the different camps. So it has that sort of State of Decay vibe where you're going out into the world, gathering some resources, coming back to different camps and trading things in. It's not exactly like State of Decay in that you're building up your own little communities and everybody's on your side necessarily. You're having to build the trust of the different people, the different factions in these camps. I've only seen one of them yet, so I don't really know how in depth the system goes. Fighting the zombies and all the stuff feels really good so far. I mean, it's kind of a slower paced game. It seems like for the most part. I'm definitely enjoying the narrative quite a bit so far. Like the way they're just kind of pulling you around to different sort of story beats and sort of things are unfolding. I've actually been drawn into sort of the narrative more than I thought I would. I'm kind of liking that. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of sort of Ubisoftification of the open world so far, where there's just shit littered all over the map for you to do. I'm sure some more stuff's going to open up as I get further in, but right now, it sort of seems like I'm just kind of bouncing to main objectives. They have other cool stuff that I like in the game where they sort of show you how much a percentage of a storyline you completed and where you need to go next if you want to complete more of the storyline. And I don't know, they have a lot of like really unique ways in which they show you all the information in the game and all the things that you need to be doing and what you need to be worried about. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not super far into it right now, but I'm definitely really digging it. Graphics look nice. Gameplay is pretty decent. So this is kind of sort of filling the void for me as far as zombie games as I sit here waiting for The Last of Us 2 to come out. So I guess you haven't played this game at all?
I don't know. It doesn't look too great. And the first thing I think of is like, why is he driving a motorcycle? Does it explain why he's driving a motorcycle around when there's fucking zombies everywhere?
Well, I mean, that's kind of his like bike. And of course they do the thing at the beginning of the game where his bike gets fucked and he has to ride off with his friend and they cover it up. We're going to come back and get it. And of course, when you come back and get it, someone's already got it. And then by the time he finds it, it's been like stripped of everything. So that's how they start the game off and making you upgrade your own goddamn motorcycle again.
So it's just Mad Max?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
That's exactly
like
what happened in the Mad Max
I'm
game.
not too far into all the systems to see how far like leveling up all these skills and upgrading your bike's going to work. But yeah, it's I mean, you are from a biker gang, so it makes sense that you would have a motorcycle. It's kind of the easiest way to get around because you're sort of in this forest of like Oregon or something like that. So it's not like I mean, there are sort of main roads where there's like cars, and it really makes no sense why you can't just get in the cars in this game too if you wanted to. So they're just kind of like stationary. But yeah, so it kind of makes the most sense of like sort of dipping through trees and off the beaten path. Why you would have a motorcycle versus anything else. And you know the zombies do hear your motorcycle. Like you can kind of just roll without going super fast, try to, you know, get by without them hearing you a lot of times. So far, it doesn't seem as corny as maybe I thought it would. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really having a problem with that so far. It feels all right.
I don't know. I have problems with that whole like zombie apocalypse scenario where just people do dumb things and things just don't make sense. And the bike doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, so far there's nothing that's really like seems really stupid about this game for me. And like I said, I was a bit worried. A lot of the sort of impressions before it came out and even leading up to release, as people got review copies early, I was a little bit worried about it. But from what I played so far, it feels a little bit better than I thought it would, and I'm actually liking it a little bit more than I thought I would. So I don't know. So far, I guess 2 thumbs up for me, but I'm going to need to play a little bit farther in before I can really give this game a solid judgment or opinion.
So I haven't had too much time to play in the last week and a bit. I'm finishing up Operentia, The Stolen Sun, which is a game I talked about last episode. It's like a traditional dungeon crawler where you move around and you fight people on like a square-based map. So I still recommend that game. Great game. But I also started as my side game the latest Spider-Man game for PS4, and wow, like it was kind of like when I played the Batman Arkham games, where I was like, God damn, they nailed Batman. And with this game, they nailed Spider-Man, especially the web slinging and traversing the city. Like they nailed it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the shit out of it. Although I think, and even though this is the first game and probably another series of Spider-Man games, you know, by the end of Batman, he did have a lot more sort of flexibility in combat, different things he could do, stuff like that. And I still feel like Arkham is the better game because, like, you'll see maybe once you get to the end of Spider-Man, like once you sort of master the combat and the traversal stuff and all that, the traversal feels great, sure. But especially the combat, it started to feel like a little bit sort of like, all right, I kind of got this down. Like I know how to just come through here and take out a bunch of enemies real quick. And I feel like there wasn't as much variety in it. Like I said, by the end when it's, you know, it's time to wrap it up anyway. My only complaint with Spider-Man was some of the side activities are just stupid and contrived. and just like kind of sort of take you out of the experience. Just like, I don't know, you got to follow this drone through the city, and like you got to climb up these building and cover these vents and stuff like that. So this thing doesn't explode. And I don't know, you'll see, I don't know how far into it you are, but there's some of the side stuff is where that game just like really fell apart for me. But if you're just talking, you know, like the traversal, going around the city, beating dudes up, getting into combat, all the different suits you can unlock are fun because they come with their own abilities and stuff like that. Yeah, I love the fuck out of it because it's totally borrowing almost everything for the most part from Arkham as far as style and
very much
sort of gameplay elements and stuff like that. But yeah, some of the side stuff is bad, but the main story parts and just the main chunk of the game is super great.
I'm not too far in the story because like typical in games that have like collectibles and stuff, the second I can collect things, I just start collecting shit instead of doing the actual story. So I collected all the backpacks already. I've done almost all the like Kingpin, I forget what they're called, but like the Kingpin, like
little hideouts or
the hideouts or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm doing all those, and I've already like unlocked the entire map before like the third story mission.
Yeah, that's what I did. I got all the backpacks like super early on. Because not only that, but you're kind of uncovering the city as you go and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of did that too, and then I had to be like, all right, it's time to do like story missions and keep going here. Because you have that tendency when you play like a bunch of Ubisoft games and other open world games where you just want to like, you're like, all right, I know there's gonna be a million fucking side things, so let me get it all done. But they don't overwhelm you here. It's still a nice amount.
It's attainable. Yeah, it's more friendly. Whereas with Ubisoft, it's like hours of time to get these things. But one thing I was doing is I'm into photography, and I really liked how they added like Peter's like day job of being a photographer, and I actually made like a mini game out of it where I'm sure other people have done this too, but they should make this as like its own game where you have to take pictures while web slinging. Like you can't stop and take the picture, because that's what I was doing. I was just like swinging around, flying through the air and trying to take pictures of the landmarks that you needed to take pictures of. And I was having so much fun with that. And I ended up getting all the pictures already, like within like an hour, just from like going here and just flying around and taking a shot of this and that and all these things.
Yeah, I can't remember if I completed that portion of it or not. I think I did, but I don't remember. I definitely didn't do everything in that game. Like I think some of the side stuff, it's like they want you to like 3-star or gold star, all that stuff where it's like really time based. I'm like, I'm not gonna do all this stuff for the platinum trophy. I did a lot of it though. But what did you think about? I guess one of the other parts I didn't really like, even though I understood why they put it in, sort of mix it up a little bit, was the Mary Jane segments where just kind of playing as her. Okay, well, wait till you get to that, where you have to play as her in certain parts, and it's more about sort of stealth elements because obviously she can't fight and stuff. It just kind of slows the game down a little bit. It's just kind of
weird.
Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary. I mean, they're not like long segments, and you could say like, sure, it breaks up the Spider-Man action, but I don't know. You could completely rip those out, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal to me. I don't know.
I'm really impressed with like the cutscenes and stuff, like the CG.
Yeah.
I thought that stuff looked great. Like it doesn't have the uncanny valley type thing, like you're watching a video game, but it's like square levels of like awesome FMVs. Like if you've watched any of like the Final Fantasy movies that have come out in the last like 10 years or whatever, it has that like really cool like CG that just looks legit, like things look alive.
And I know you don't really mess around with this stuff, but you were talking about how you were taking the pictures in the game. But that game has an incredible photo mode too. Like I enjoyed. I might have to upload some of the pictures to our Bastards channel because they're all on my personal Facebook from when I played it back last year. But I took a bunch of, because it's a comic book game, yeah. And so you can sort of add these like filters, and you can even do like little chat bubbles. So you could technically, if you wanted to, go in and take all these little pictures while you're playing the game, come back and add sort of the little comic booky like chat bubbles and make your own story if you wanted to, or just take pictures and put little funny captions in the little bubbles and make it seem like a comic book. I always wanted to go back through and just have like Spider-Man and the villains just saying the most heinous shit to each other, like stuff that they would never say in character. You know what I mean? It's like make a small little comic strip out of it. But even beyond that, like the photo mode is fucking awesome. You can take these just incredible shots. So I don't know. Like I said, I know you don't like playing with photo modes that much, but the one in Spider-Man is super fun to play with.
It's funny because like I do photography in real life and videography stuff, but I don't really like doing it in games too much. I have no idea why. I don't know if it's because it's a video game or if I don't really find it as like prominent to take pictures of because other people are taking screenshots and stuff of it too. I don't know. It's such a weird thing. I've never been able to figure that out. Like why I'm not an enthusiast at taking screenshots and stuff.
Well, it's just, it all depends on the photo mode too, but like, cause a lot of people will just like frame or try to get like a good framing for a picture, but I always go and like tweak everything that I can, like where exactly the camera is and like the filters, all the different like colorings on it, just anything that I can play with to adjust the way the photo looks. I'll do all that until I make something that looks far and away better than most of the screenshots that people take. Because most people just, go into photo mode and hit take picture, and they don't really mess with all the options. But I mess with everything. Like I've spent like, I don't know, half an hour or more like on one picture before, like 45 minutes, just trying to get like just trying to make it look perfect, or just like wholly unique. So
you know what it is? I don't have time for it anymore. Like I just need to play the game because that's all I have time for.
Yeah, my problem. I have the same problem, but my problem is that like I'll be like in the middle of this like intense part of the game, and I'll pause to like take a screenshot. So it's like 20 minutes later, I get back to the game that I should have just like play. I should just do a playthrough of a game and then do the second playthrough where I just take pictures. But that would be even more time. So there's no right answer for me because I can't stop taking pictures, and all of Sony's first party games now have like great photo modes. Like Days Gone has a pretty good one that I'm going to delve into. It has a lot of fucking options, so probably going to see a lot of my Days Gone photos pop up here on the Bastards channel pretty soon.
Question, and answers. So if you have any questions you want to ask us, have an interesting topic that you want to pitch, or want to be part of the show, send us an email at bastardsgamingnetwork@gmail.com or message us on the Bastards of Gaming Facebook group. So this week, our first question comes from King of the North, who asks, what movies would make the best video games, and or what video games would make the best movies?
Well, I thought about this, and one of the games that I always wanted to sort of be made, or one of the movies I always wanted to be made into a game, which I'm kind of over it now, which would seem like it would have been cooler back in the day, was Heat. You familiar with that movie? Have you seen it?
Yeah, but that would kind of be
Pacino,
like, that'd be like payout or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like for a long time, because when that movie came out back in the day, like the coolest part of that was the shootout toward the end where they're coming out of the bank and the cops roll up and they're having that gunfight in the street. And it used to be my favorite thing. I was so impressed with that scene, but it really doesn't hold up now because you can almost have way better stuff in like Grand Theft Auto games. And that's what I was going to say is like Grand Theft Auto sort of has that covered now. Like a lot of the heist missions and stuff in Grand Theft Auto were exactly what I would want from like a Heat game. But other stuff I thought would be cool was like the Expendables because it's just a big dumb action game.
I kind of thought of that too, but it's so generic.
You could, it's just generic enough, and then like it'd be cool if you could actually get the likenesses or the voices for all the people. So it'd be cool to have this like big co-op shooter game or whatever, playing as Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham, and you're just running through shooting a bunch of bad guys and blowing them up and stuff like that.
It'd kind of be like Mercenaries.
Yeah. I mean,
characters.
But it's just so basic and stupid enough that it would just totally be a great sort of action game that you can make out, especially like I said, if you could get all those characters in there.
Well, they actually had a game, I forget what the game's called, but they had like an add-on with the Expendables, so you could play them in this like 8-bit game that they made. I forget what it's like, Broforce, I think it's called.
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, but I would want something more AAA.
Yeah.
But and then the other one I thought of is a movie called Sucker Punch. I just think you could sort of make a video game out of it in the way that like when the sort of girls are in their like a mental asylum place. I don't remember what it was called. Those parts could be like sort of in between the bigger gameplay segments, and that would be where you'd have more of your story and character interactions. And once she goes into the sort of other realm where you have all the sort of actiony parts of that game would be where the gameplay bits are. And then in that way you could sort of make all these different games that would be centered around different levels where you'd have the sort of big samurai sort of level, and then you would have the sort of alternate reality World War II setting, and then you could do a bunch of different things like they sort of do in the movie where every time she goes into that trance state she goes to like this weird fantastical place. So I thought it'd be like a cool idea that you could make into a movie. What do you think as far as movies into games?
So I'm going to correct myself. When you're saying Heat, I said Payout. I meant to say Payday was like the series, and we didn't really care for it. I know Scold loved it, and we tried to play that game, or both of them actually, and just couldn't get into them.
No, they were shit in my opinion.
So to answer the question, one of the first games first, like, it's not a movie, it's a TV show, but the first like TV show that came to mind for me that would be a good video game would be something like True Detective, where it's kind of have that LA noir type of gameplay, but it would have this psychological, like detective, really deep story.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about movies.
I know, but that was the first thing.
I was thinking about adding TV shows to it, but I think, I don't know, sort of like bronze it out so much, because there's a bunch of other stuff I would think as far as TV shows too. But yeah, no, True Detective as far as a TV show would be dope.
So for movies, like, I don't know, most of the movies that would be good games are just the same shit again. Like, you're murdering people, like say like John Wick. Like, oh boy, now you got someone who's like an assassin. Like, we've never played this game before. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's just, I don't know. Nothing really came to mind in terms of like movies to video games, but for video games to movies, I would like to see stuff that has like good world building already. So you could do like spin-offs of like Destiny or Gears of War, like in that setting, and you can have those characters.
Yeah, Destiny is one I had on my list because I feel like the lore in the universe that Bungie wants you to believe that you're playing in, that's shown to you in the game, is not the same that's sort of represented in all of these sort of outside stuff like the Grimoire. And I've always felt that there's like it's almost like it's two different things to me, where I understand it's a video game and you have to have things play out a certain way, but you can't, I don't know, they have all this crazy lore that just seems like it would be great. And I would love to see it explored in another medium outside of the game. So yeah, like a Destiny, anything else like a movie or a TV show or a book or a comic or anything set in the Destiny universe that's not in those godforsaken places that you have to play the game would seem more interesting to me.
Another game I was thinking of is like Borderlands. Could be like a Deadpool type movie where it's like really violent, slapstick, adult humor. Like that writes itself right there.
Yeah, I thought about that one too, and I was like, I don't know if the sort of cell shaded versus like live action would be like, I don't know if I'm sure you could translate the sort of style of that to like real world sort of actors and get ups and stuff like that. But it's just like the Borderlands feels almost a little bit like cartoonish. So I almost wonder if it'd be like a more like CG or animated thing. I don't know. I mean, you could do it anyway, but yeah, I thought about that, but I was like, I don't know, something about the art style to me. Like, I feel like it wouldn't translate to like a real world movie quite right. I don't know. But as far as humor and style and stuff like that, yeah, definitely.
See, I didn't really think beyond those ones, but I was thinking like Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know if you've seen either of those ones. They have like, it has nothing to do with anything. It's just like a homage to like gaming and arcades and all that stuff. And both Wreck-It Ralph movies are actually really good, like video game movies, and they're not based on anything. Like, it's a fake game. Like, I feel like that's better than trying to take a franchise and turn it into one or the other, because it always ends up getting ruined. Like, look at Sonic, right? Sonic's fucked. Even though I don't know what you're going to do with Sonic in the first place.
Well, for me, games that could be turned into movies, the obvious one I always think of is Uncharted. Although I feel like that was kind of an easy answer, because that's basically just like an Indiana Jones movie at that point. And we've sort of seen Tomb Raider translated to the big screen 3 times now, and that hasn't really worked out, even though I sort of have a soft spot for the 90s ones, for how campy and 90s they are. And I think Angelina Jolie fucking rocked the role of Lara Croft. And then I saw they did the sort of fan film last year where Nathan Fillion played Nathan Drake, and that sort of short film. And I thought that was pretty great too. Yeah. And so I think you could, but that seems pretty easy. But as far as stuff that's more broad or crazier, I mean, obviously I would like to see Halo. I don't think anyone's ever going to do Halo justice on the big screen. I mean, we got that TV show that Showtime's doing coming out here, hopefully in the next year. I don't have high hopes for that, but we'll see. But stuff like I think Fallout, like something in the Fallout universe, because it's so stylized and so specific. Like it has such an aesthetic to it that you could just I feel like you could tell almost any kind of story in that setting, and it would be engaging and cool. Another one I thought of would be like Dead Space. It would be you could make a really cool sort of sci-fi horror movie out of the Dead Space franchise.
But it would just be choppy, blood everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it's I like Dead Space, the first and second games, because it's very psychological and it was also disturbing. But I don't feel like a movie would do it any justice. It would just be a bunch of like jump scares and stupid stuff. I don't know.
Well, sure. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big horror fan anyway, so. I mean, sure, it would turn into a tropey horror flick, I'm sure. But I just, subject matter, the creatures are cool. It's just something you could translate. I think you could translate pretty easily. And then obviously Mass Effect. I mean, who wouldn't want a fucking TV series or a movie based on the fucking Mass Effect universe? But that's like a fucking pipe dream right there. Yeah. So much shit would have to be done exactly right for it to be accepted by fans.
Just do spin-offs. That's all I would want. Just spin-offs. Don't try to recreate stuff, because when you start recreating things, you're taking liberties, and that's when it starts getting fucked up. Just do spin-offs or do something in that world.
Yeah, no, that's what I think too. The last one I put on here, just because like aesthetically it would be cool, but it's like something in the BioShock universe, whether it be Rapture or I forget what the one was in the sky. The game was Infinite, but I forget what the place was called. Yeah, but I forget what the place is called. But anything, because of the way they sort of set up the ending to that franchise, where you could have like infinite possibilities as far as the lighthouses and all this other stuff. But if you set something in like Rapture with like, the sort of underwater thing and just how aesthetically cool that game looked with the Big Daddies and all that stuff like that, I think you could make a really cool movie out of that.
Yeah, it's like Fallout, like you said. Like it's like there's like a period. It's stuck in a period. It's stuck in the 50s or it's stuck in whatever. And the infinite place was called Columbia.
Yeah, that's what it is. All right, so the next question comes from Rip the Jacker, and he asks, John Marston or Arthur Morgan? Or Arthur Morgan? Or Arthur Morgan.
That's who I'll go with. Arthur Morgan.
Arthur Morgan. So before Red Dead 2 came out, I was a little bit concerned because it didn't seem like that Arthur was going to be that interesting of a character. And you kind of assumed that he was probably going to die because he's not mentioned or in the first game. So I thought maybe he would just be a little bit more generic because he wasn't supposed to be important to the overall story. And I thought maybe he was just kind of going to be an avatar for you to sort of witness the events of this game. But I was like just blown away by how much I loved his fucking character. Like he's honestly one of my favorite characters. And so I would put him above John Marston for sure. And I never thought I would be able to say that.
I didn't like John Marston because I thought he was an idiot. Like he was just stupid. Like I know some people like him as a character. I just thought like he's a fuck up. He's dumb. He's stupid. He'd make stupid things. And sure, he'd like redeem himself and do certain stuff. But Arthur was way more relatable and grounded. Like he's more sensible.
Yeah, well, like Arthur almost like kind of ruins the character of John in a way because like he's just so much better. But John Marston sort of came out at a time when, like I said, that was the first, in my opinion, the first sort of rock star protagonist that I ever cared about or was interested in. So I thought that was sort of when they were on their path to making new and more interesting characters, at least as far as the one that you're playing as. They've always had really great characters. But yeah, I mean, I haven't gone back and played the first Red Dead in a long time, and obviously, John Marston is all up in Red Dead Redemption 2. But yeah, it's no contest for me. Arthur Morgan is the clear winner of that contest.
All right, so final question. Bane 783 asks, "What are your favorite breakfast cereals?" Go.
So for me, my favorite breakfast cereal of all time is Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries.
Oh God, fucking Captain Crunch.
Yes, that's the best. The best, son. What do you got? What do you coming at?
Captain Crunch, man, it's like eating it's just like shit dipped in like paint varnish. It like rips your mouth apart. Shit.
Oh, it's just so good. It's there's nothing that really compares to it, honestly.
You're nuts. That's horrible. Okay, for shitty cereals, my top pick is Lucky Charms.
Yeah, I mean that's I'm not a big I don't eat breakfast anymore, so I don't really do breakfast these days. And I've never been a huge cereal person, but yeah, Captain Crunch is my favorite. Other like if I'm gonna go with the sugary route, other stuff I'll eat is like Lucky Charms and Frosted Flakes, maybe some Golden Grahams. They're not too bad. If I want to go more of the healthy route, I'll do like a Raisin Bran or Honey Bunches of Oats.
I like Raisin Bran,
but I actually like to eat some cereals like out of the box, so not with milk and stuff. So I know this sounds really boring, but I love just eating plain Cheerios. Like I'll just fucking eat them all day. I don't give a shit.
My daughter eats plain Cheerios all the time.
Yeah, I fucking love it. And another one, my favorite, is like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'll eat that shit out of the box. So I don't even need milk for that shit.
Everybody always picks that one. They always pick that one or like Cookie Crisp or some shit.
Yeah, Cookie Crisp is good to do that too. Yep.
So for the eating plain, I like Honeycomb.
Yeah, I haven't had those in a while. I don't remember what I thought about them.
I don't know. I just like the like crunchiness of it, and it has like honey coating on it or something. I don't know. I like those. But I don't usually eat shitty cereals. Like the only cereals I really have is Rice Krispies for Rice Krispie Squares, basically, All Bran or Raisin Bran, and then Cheerios.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't. If I'm at someone's house or somewhere and there's like cereal and that's one of the only things, I'll just eat whatever the cereal is. Like I don't really care. That's kind of how I am with like soft drinks. Like I don't really give a shit. It's all soft drinks at the end of the day. But yeah, I have a few favorites, but I'm not a big cereal guy. I end up buying milk and then I don't use it all and it goes bad and I dump it out. And so that's just why I don't usually eat it that much.
Remember all the cereals in the 80s and stuff, like the Super Mario cereal and Ghostbusters, and some of them would come with like Super Mario rulers or like different toys and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Ninja Turtles. I remember Ninja Turtles had their own cereal, and I remember going to the States and the cereal was packaged with like a Ninja Turtle bowl.
Yep. Yeah. I think I had that at one point.
Yeah. I think I got one while I was there because they don't sell that stuff in Canada. In Canada, it's like you might not even see that cereal ever. Even if you saw it, you wouldn't be getting the fucking bowl with it or a spoon or a ruler or anything. It was just like bare bones. This is it. You might have to send in for it by sending in the UPC code or some shit. Mail in order.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if I know I was going to go down the retro cereal path, I would have looked up a bunch of that shit because there was all kinds of stuff that I used to buy back in the day that was just like one-off things or like limited run or stuff like that. It was like
cereal.
Yeah, no, dude, there's so many cereals you probably never even heard of.
No,
dude, I'm gonna send you this list I found earlier today. I didn't look through the whole thing because it was so long, but it was literally a list of all the cereals that have ever existed.
Wow.
And there's like crazy shit on there that I didn't remember or like just completely forgot about. But there's like all kinds of shit back in the day.
Oh, remember Alpha Bits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those, but I like them with the shitty marshmallows again, just like Lucky Charms. There's something about those marshmallows. Like, I don't even think they are marshmallows. I don't know what they are. Oh,
they're fucking complete garbage.
They squeak when you chew them. They're like squeaking on your teeth.
Yeah, they're like fucking. I don't know. I feel like it's something that's like packed into like an astronaut's meal. So it's not even real food. It's just like when you go to like I don't know. Was it? I think when I went to the Air and Space Museum in elementary school, and you could buy that like space ice cream. It's supposed to be like dry frozen shit. That's what those fucking marshmallows remind me of. Like some fucking military ration bullshit. That's supposed to be like this is your candy. That's what the fucking Lucky Charms marshmallows are like to me.
It's like shipping packaging or like the filler stuff that you put inside to like make sure it doesn't get all smashed.
Yeah, it's fucking peanuts.
That's okay. I'll eat those. They're delicious. I don't care what shape or size they're in.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's garbage, but I'll eat it too.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size. What in the fuck? The fuck? The fuck? The fuck? The fuck? The fuck?